All right, guys, so things are getting very, very, very heated between members of the Conservative Party in Canada's Parliament and Justin Trudeau, who stooped to an all-time low yesterday as he basically, it sounds like he accused a Jewish member of the Conservative Party of standing with swastikas, which some people could extrapolate to mean that he's accusing her, right, and then people of that party of standing with Nazis. Now, obviously, his comments have drawn a whole lot of backlash, as this guy has a history of making inflammatory rhetoric towards people that don't agree with him, right? And this is just the latest example of such. But before we get in that, I want to let you guys know that if you like my channel and if you want to support my channel, the way to do so is using the links in the description below. You can support the Patreon, you can support the PayPal, you can support the merch. There are multiple ways to support the channel if you would like to do so. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this clip of this heated exchange between Conservative Parliament member Melissa Lantsman and Justin Trudeau. Take a look.
Hopeful vision for public life isn't a naive dream. It could be a powerful force for change. If Canadians are to trust their government needs to trust Canadians. Those are the words of the Prime Minister in 2015. These people, very often misogynistic, racist, women haters, science deniers, the fringe. Same Prime Minister 6 years later as he fans the flames of an unjustified national emergency. So, Mr. Speaker, when did the Prime Minister lose his way? When did it happen?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Conservative Party members can stand with people who wave swastikas. They can stand with people who wave the Confederate flag. We will choose to stand with Canadians who deserve to be able to get to their jobs, who be able to get their lives back. These illegal protests need to stop, and they will, Mr. Speaker.
I just want to remind the honourable members, including the Right Honourable Prime Minister, to use words that are not inflammatory in the House, and that's for both sides. The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
Unbecoming as a Prime Minister. It's been 48 hours that the government went from doing nothing to a national emergency. 48 hours into using the measures, 48 hours without providing Parliament with a justification. So my question is simple. When will the Prime Minister admit that he's lost control of the situation, that he's lost control of his country, that he's lost control of his caucus, and that he's lost control of his leadership?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, on the question of caucus and support for these blockades, the Conservative politicians need to make a choice. Are they for the blockades, or are they for communities, our economy, and regular Canadians? The member from Provencher pointed out about the emergency blockade, the illegal blockades. He has never seen such a patriotic display in Canada. There's nothing patriotic about hurting fellow Canadians. The member from Grand Prairie Mackenzie claims that the economy is not being held hostage. All the while, hundreds of millions of dollars were being lost in trade due to blockades. And the member from Sarnia-Lambton doesn't believe her constituents need guaranteed access now to the Blue Water Bridge. Mr. Speaker, we stand with Canadians.
I am a strong Jewish woman and a member of this House and a descendant of Holocaust survivors, and I have never it's never been singled out, and I have never been made to feel less, except for today when the Prime Minister accused me of standing with swastikas. I think he owes me an apology. I'd like an apology, and I think he owes an apology to all members of this House.
Guys, before I get into my commentary about that specific exchange, the details of it, I have to say, there's something to be said about the parliament system where the Prime Minister, the actual leader of the country, has to actually stand before his constituents in the Parliament and actually talk with them, right? Actually debate with them, answer questions, right? I really actually admire that a lot, and I wish that we had something like this in the United States. Because, guys, could you imagine Biden in a situation like that, right? Could you imagine Joe Biden going back and forth with, you know, people in the Republican Party, people in the Democrat Party that disagree with him or whatever in a situation like that? Joe Biden went last 5 seconds, right? He went last 5 seconds. So, you know, watching that exchange, it really does kind of show you how crazy some of these exchanges in Parliament go and just kind of how that system works. But about the whole exchange, right? About the details here. At this point, man, when it comes to Justin Trudeau and his rhetoric, I mean, it's really just clown behavior, right? It's clown behavior that we see or we have seen from the Democrat Party and Joe Biden here in America, right? The clown behavior of essentially smearing anybody that disagrees with them as the worst of the worst, right? So just think of something that is bad, right? Or some bad people in history like the Nazis or Confederates or whatever. And you just say that, well, anybody that disagrees with me, they're like them, right? They're like them, okay? Which is basically where this comes from, okay? Because, you know, there's been some images of people who participate in this, you know, freedom trucker protest. There's been some images of, you know, 1 or 2 people waving a swastika or something like that. Now, here's the thing. I actually saw a video where a guy was explaining why the guy was actually waving the flag. And apparently the dude was waving the flag as a way to demonstrate what he thought would happen to Canada if Trudeau continued to basically get his way, right? To run the country the way he's running it. Now, that being said, again, that's not an excuse to wave a flag like that, considering the hateful meaning behind a flag like that, right? And I think that person who waved that flag, if they don't have those views, then they probably shouldn't be waving that flag. And obviously those views should be condemned if they do have those views, right? They should be condemned. Not to mention, waving that flag also makes it look like the truckers and people who support that movement agree with the meaning of that flag, which is not true, okay? But again, just because 1 or 2 people wave a flag like that and they happen to be, you know, participating in these protests, that doesn't mean that everybody in the protest agrees with those objectable views, right? That's not what it means. That's not what it means at all, okay? In every movement, any type of protest, anything that you have, you're going to have people that are extremists, okay? And, you know, it is wrong for you to smear a whole group of people to say that, hey, they're just like the very few extremists that may be agreeing with them on a certain issue, right? I mean, that's just kind of how politics goes. I mean, look at Black Lives Matter and Antifa, right? Obviously, everybody that supports BLM is not, you know, some, you know, radical that, you know, wants to destroy America, okay? A lot of them are just woke, okay? They're just woke. But it doesn't mean that they want to destroy America. It doesn't mean that they support looting, rioting, burning down cities, burning down neighborhoods. It's not that they support all that stuff, okay? Now, there are some extremists in that group, right, that do support that. And it's, unfortunately, there's enough of them to where we saw happen in 2020, right, where we had widespread riots, okay, and looting and violence going on across the country. But again, you're not seeing that with this freedom convoy protest, right? You're not seeing that. So again, to smear people as standing with swastikas, or again, if you can extrapolate that to standing with Nazis, to smear people that way just because they happen to agree on something, right? A certain form of protest, even though, again, they don't agree with any of their views, right? Outside of just agreeing on this one specific issue, it's clown behavior. Okay, again, it's par for the course from people with the left. Essentially, the left has gone so far left that what they say is that if you don't agree with me, then hey, you know, you're a racist, right? You're on the side of the Confederacy. I mean, Joe Biden has done this. Okay, people that don't agree with him on repealing the filibuster, even though the Democrats wanted to defend the filibuster when Trump was in office. But apparently now in 2022, since Democrats in power, if you don't agree with repealing the filibuster, then you're on the side of the Confederacy. You're on the side of Jefferson Davis. Okay, that's what he's saying, right? He literally said that, right? And what he said was so far beyond the pale that even the mainstream liberal media, CNN, was like, bro, I don't know about that. Right? I'm not sure if you should have said that. I'm not sure if you should be smearing people who don't want to get rid of filibuster as Confederate. But again, this is language that we heard from the Democrat Party time and time and time again, because that's standard for them. Anybody that doesn't agree with them automatically is the worst of the worst, right? Again, it gets to the point where it becomes silly, where you're now accusing Jewish people of standing with swastikas the same way in America they accuse black conservatives of being white supremacists, right? Or so-called people of color. Anybody that's not white, you're a white supremacist if you don't agree with the Democrat Party. Doesn't matter what your race is. Again, that's why I call it clown behavior. It's at the point now where it's just silly. It's simply just silly. Okay? And with that being said, I don't think that Trudeau is going to apologize, even though he should apologize. I don't think he's going to apologize. Okay? And this is another reason why conservatives simply should not be apologizing to the left. Because when the left makes obvious mistakes like this, when they say stuff like this that he obviously should apologize for, because some people are saying, oh, well, he didn't say it directly to her. And I'm like, bro, come on. In the context of the exchange, he basically was accusing her of standing with swastikas. That's what he was doing. Okay, let's be real. And because he did that, and he directed that towards somebody whose family actually went through a tragic event, okay, whose family suffered because of those type of hateful symbols that he's accusing her of now standing with, yeah, he should apologize for that, right? 100%. But I don't think he's going to. I highly doubt he's going to. And again, this is why conservatives shouldn't apologize. What should you apologize for? If this guy's not willing to apologize for this, what should conservatives be apologizing for, right? Because the left, they never apologize. They never see a need to apologize or to say sorry for the effed up things that they say. They never do it, right? But every time you look, every time somebody on the right says something that is not nearly as bad as this, oh no, you got to apologize, right? And too many people are capitulating to apologizing when it's simply unnecessary. One, two, Democrats, the left, they never apologize. And three, even if you apologize, you still gonna get canceled, right? They still gonna hate you whether you apologize or not. So again, what's the point, right? What's the point? But like I said, man, I'm not surprised about what's coming out of this guy's mouth. At this point, is clown behavior. He's taking a book out of the Democrat Party here in America from Joe Biden's playbook of just, smearing anybody that disagrees with him as the worst of the worst. He doesn't care who is directed at all. It just shows you the character of this guy and just the fact that he's on a full-blown power trip and, he thinks that he's a dictator, right? That's why he admires China so much, right? That's why he admires China so much. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.